voice of growth, mastering the mind and market. Welcome back to the Voice of Growth podcast, Mastering the Mind and Market. My name is Manny Teran, and I'm your host. On today's podcast, we're talking about the importance of creating a creed for yourself and for your business. Why the word creed? Don't we have mission statements and vision statements and so forth? Of course we do. Don't we set goals for ourselves? Of course we do. But there's some really important distinctions that I want to talk about why the word creed is the choice that I chose for myself and for my businesses. If you look in the dictionary, the word creed is a declaration or statement of religious beliefs. Certainly, your life is not a religion, and unless you're in the ministry, neither is your business. But I want you to think about this document, the set of principles therein, as a declaration just with the same fervor and the same level of faith that someone might ascribe to the religion. I want you to do the same for yourself and for your business. A creed is really two things. It's a representation of who you already are, and it's a representation of an aspirational who you are as well. So it's not necessarily goals, and we've talked about goals in the past, how although they're noble to set, they're almost impossible to reach. James Clear, Atomic Habits, great book, talks about habits and systems in order to change your identity of the kind of person you want to be in order to accomplish the quote unquote goals. So the goal is more the consequence than necessarily the destination. And in that framework, you can think about a creed is the song you're whistling as you're on your way to changing your identity. So it's kind of identity, but it's also aspirational. I created a creed for myself during a time in my life when I was going through a lot. I had stuff at home. My business was in shambles. My health wasn't doing well. It was not a good time for me. And I sat down and I mapped out this creed of the kind of person that I wanted to be. But as I was doing it, it was more of uncovering the kind of person that I already was. And there was like weeds and stuff around it. So I was really wanted to be very clear of this is the kind of principles I want to live my life by. And I also did the same for my business, which is interesting because I had done it years prior to my personal creed. And this was even predating my Stoic journey. And when I look back at both the company creed and my personal creed, there's lots of elements of the Stoic journey. So I went back recently and made some slight adjustments, but it's pretty much the same on both levels. I also want to note something about vulnerability and about authenticity. I firmly believe that vulnerability and authenticity are a powerful move. It might sound indicating that you are sharing things about yourself, personal things that will somehow make you feel weak to others, but in fact, it's the opposite. When people see you standing strong, when people see you leveraging and creating momentum and leading teams and making all these moves, and at the same time being vulnerable and authentic about the struggles you might have been through or are going through, it takes that initial position and stance and elevates it. I've seen it play out day in, day out. I've seen it with people that initially were very guarded and held everything close to the chest and then became to open up and their world changed automatically. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you need to stand up and share all your business secrets or your tactics or strategy. No. This is more about your personal journey. And you don't have to go in and talk about individual little stories or even name names, but generally, it's important to share with the world the kind of things that you've been through so that they understand where you're coming from and their trust is built in a much more quick manner by doing so. I've seen it many, many times. So I'm going to start off with talking about my personal creed And then I'm going to go through and discuss the business side. The personal creed I called Polaris. Polaris, in case you don't know, is the Northstar. The Northstar is an interesting star in that it's nothing special about this star, only the fact that the constellations, the way the Earth is positioned, all spin around this one star. And that for millennia has been a source of direction for many people, navigation. And I've always been geared or led towards the idea of Polaris. Polaris will not give you the every placement of your foot, or you're going to traverse this valley or go over this mountain or whatever, but it's going to give you a general direction of where you want to go. The individual position of your feet, the trails, the mountains, the streams, all that has more to do with strategy and tactics, but generally speaking, Polaris is where you're going towards. All right, Polaris. I live my life by acting on my principles. Number 1, support, respect, and enjoy the people I love. To me, people, family, my partner, friends, business community at large, all these things are so highly important because we are social creatures. We're human beings. We're on this earth to be part of this amazing collection of so many relationships, so many conversations, so many interactions with people that, to me, that is central. Also, I've been in situations where I have not supported and not respected and not enjoyed the people that I love. So I wanted to make that central to the fact that that really means the most to me, and being able to give that support, to show the ultimate respect, and really enjoy and spend time with the people I love. This, incidentally, it's on a piece of paper. In this case, it's something I keep on my phone, but it's more of an embodiment of a living, breathing execution or activity than just bits on my phone or ink on a piece of paper. This has to be lived, and this is the way I live. Number 2, savor the beauty of life. All too often, we are running the rat race. We're chasing the almighty dollar. We're chasing the almighty dollar. We are climbing the corporate ladder, and we miss out on savoring that beauty, the tenderness of life, the gratitude. I show gratitude every morning. I spend maybe a minute sitting down or laying down as I'm waking up, giving thanks for my health, my body, my friends, my family, the opportunities that I have, the fact that I get to do these things. All that frames up my day so that I'm ready and roaring, ready to go out of the gate in the morning. And savoring the beauty of life is something that I need to write into this, because if I don't remember to do so, I'll just kind of barrel right through these things without sitting and savoring things. Whether it's a simple cup of coffee in the morning, or whether it's sitting in a red light and just basking in the sun, or looking at people walking across the street, or these little precious moments. You can find them all through your day, but you need to set that intention that you, and it's a way of thinking that you'll take a moment, rather than to have all these things processing in your mind. You instead take a moment to just show gratitude and savor the beauty of life. If you can, I've talked about this many times, get out in nature. This has to do with stillness. I mentioned earlier how I kind of mapped it. This predates all my Stoic journey, but a lot of the elements are there, and that's one of them right there. Number 3, live life with love and integrity. Highly important. To me, love is important. Love isn't some like weird kumbaya thing that is removed or only belongs in monasteries or in church or in the bedroom or whatever. No, love for me is a deeper sense of gratitude, and it's a kindness, it's a respect for your fellow man and for your business, for yourself. A lot of folks fail to show themselves love, and that's important. And for me, putting it on here was very important. And the word integrity is something else that is very powerful. Integrity is when you give your word, you do everything you can to follow through. And in business, it is highly important, highly important. I've been in situations where I have not shown integrity. And I've had to, come back to the table and fix it. So I do my best today to live it that way with integrity. It isn't perfect. It's a full contact sport, like I've mentioned before. And there's going to be moments where we're going to suffer from certain things. But I'm resolved to make sure that whatever loose ends that are still out there in my businesses, to tie up, because at the end of the day, we face ourselves in the mirror, we face ourselves in the darkness. And I can say today that I live pretty free of that. There are some things I mentioned that I have to still settle from the past, and I will, and I'm working towards it, no doubt. But these things also take time. Highly important to remain and live in love and integrity. Number 4, impact this world by developing my greatness. All right, that sounds really pompous, doesn't it? Kind of, but in a good way. Impact this world by developing my greatness. The more that I'm able to become a higher version of myself and be a better leader and be a better partner, be a better father, be a better friend, a better son, a better brother, and so forth, the better it is for the other person and the world at large, my community, my business. The idea here is put your mask on before you put your child's mask on. They tell you in the airplane. I've used this word selfish, and there's a negative connotation to the word selfish. But if you really start to peel back the layers, what I really mean by that word, and Ayn Rand is somebody who talked about this, it has to do more with getting firm footing in your own life so that you have the ability to do more, to go further and make bigger and greater impact if you are yourself-centered, ready to go. Just like if you're in sports, if you're on the football field and you're flopping around, you can get tackled easily. But if you are set, if your feet are in the right position, if you are ready for that blow, then you're more capable of getting the ball further and faster down the field. The last one is inspire others to develop their greatness. There's nothing more that gives me pleasure than to develop somebody and see them in their career, in their daily life, grow. Whether it be my children, whether it be somebody at work or a friend, if I'm able to give back, there's so much power to that feeds my own soul. There is this idea that there's no way to not help yourself if you're helping somebody else. To me, that's my Polaris. This is a stack up. And this was in part born from the book, The 4 Agreements by Paulo. And the idea there is very similar to some of these. And if you really look at the principles, there's also some courage from the Stoic standpoint. There's temperance from the Stoic standpoint. There's wisdom, and there's justice. They're all already in there in just kind of my own words, even predating. And I made a few tweaks to make it more aligned with Stoicism. And the 4 agreements really is to be impeccable with your word, to not take things personally, which is very Stoic, of course, to not make assumptions, and to do your best. Fundamentally, very similar to this Polaris. Now, I mentioned earlier that we had done the same thing for my company, Azterra. This was in everybody's office. This was in the main rooms. This was in the conference room. And this was our creed at Azterra. Azterra's creed. Number 1, dependability. We get things done on time and meet expectations. So this was central to the business we were in. We were an engineering development company. We had mechanical, electrical, and software engineers. We worked on projects. Every project was unique. And time and expectations were central. We had to be on time, and we really had to meet expectations. We struggled with the word meet. We thought about exceed. The problem with exceed is, at least in our business, because the way that our customers were doing their business, It was more important that we came in when we said and how we said we would come in. If we were to blow their expectations in the sense of do more than what they asked for, it might have inadvertently caused them additional work to do. Maybe they had already done that. Maybe they had already prepared for that with another vendor, within their own company, and us coming to the table, it wouldn't have worked. So we decided to meet expectations. Number 2, structure and clarity. We have clear goals and have well-defined roles within this group, within the group. Highly important in the sense, I've talked many times in the past, the idea of strengths and developing strengths and talents. Clear goals, this kind of predates a little bit of the James Clear stuff, but I did not change this at all. So the idea here is that when we were to set out to do something, we would do our best to reach that goal and have an understanding of what role everyone would play in this company. Number 3, meaning. Our work has personal significance to each of us. The beauty of having this company and creating it with my own thinking, my own hands, but then bringing in other hands to the conversation, other people's thinkings, it really created this sense of personal significance. Everybody there enjoyed their job so much. I was so proud in this company that people loved to work there, and I'm totally, patting myself on the back as the orchestra conductor, bringing everybody together. I did not do the work. I did not do the nitty-gritty. There's things that happened behind the scenes that I didn't do, and certainly the success of the company was a collective win. I was simply the conductor bringing people together. Little sidebar, as a CEO, there's only one person to blame when things go south, and that's also the CEO. So give credit to everybody else, and if things go wrong, take all the blame. Kind of a crappy situation to be in, but I love it, and I wouldn't change anything about it. Obviously, I'm being a little bit more open here with this, saying that the meaning for us was really something out of this world. I'm very proud to have created this for so many people and given back to the community. And of course, even more so, got so much more from the community and from the employees and team members. Number 4, impact. We believe our work is purposeful and positively impacts the greater good. Every time we delivered a product, every time we delivered a project, every time we brought our clients in, whether it was a high five situation or a more stern conversation, our work meant something to our clients and to the world at large. We might have been doing a circuit for something that went into a medical device. We might have been doing a bracket that fed into some industrial application that was feeding people or whatever. There's all these elements of our business that we ascribed meaning and significance to, and it positively impacted the greater good. And number 5, safety. This is very clear. It's not what you think necessarily. The personal safety, don't get hurt at work, that's a separate thing. This is different. Number 5, safety. We are free to speak up without fear of seeming incompetent or being judged in an effort of forward progress. I would say that one was likely the one that had the most power. There's a few times where we had to bring that to bear because it was important that our employees could say what they were thinking without fear of retribution from anybody. On many times, that safety feature saved our butts. People saying, well, I don't really understand this. Can you please go back to the beginning? Rather than the collective, oh man, or whatever, grumbling, because this was so important to us, we spent the time to go through, discuss it, whatever level, whatever speed, so that everybody understood. And that saved our hind end a number of times, because that person then said, well, what about this? That took the project in a completely different direction. There was occasions where employees started to admonish the other person and sort of stir the pot, and we had to step in and say, number 5, safety. That's exactly why we kept this on in the conference room and the other rooms in our building, because it had to be there. And these are ours. These aren't yours. The Polaris is mine. That's not yours. Create the ones for yourself. Spend time journaling. In this day and age, you can ask ChatGPT if you want, but make sure it's in your own voice. Make sure it's something that really is powerful to you. And if you take anything from today, it doesn't mean that you have to have some polished thing on the wall or something that is burned into your screen on your phone. But really, what does it mean to live in your skin? What does it mean to do what you're doing? And above and beyond of what does it mean, what is the meaning of it to you? Why is it important to you? I have done a lot in my life, and with all hopes and all prayers, I hope I continue to do so in the future for a long, long time. But what I can say is that the personal creed and the business creed for me were a pivotal data point that I can mark on my life's calendar that has shown so much fruit by remembering and by setting that operating system and feeding into the identity that I've created and am creating for myself. Thankful that I've found Stoicism as an additional knowledge base to draw from, because there is so much more that I can do under the framework of my Polaris. And through the course of time, I'll be able to make additional adjustments, or maybe I'll do a completely new one if I feel it's necessary as I start to grow and develop my own greatness. I challenge you to spend time, even for 10 minutes after you're listening to this podcast. Even for that, spend time, a few minutes, thinking about what's important to you. What is your why? Simon Sinek, we can go into an entire podcast about the why and why it's important to understand your why. The creed for me are the elements of my why, maybe a little bit different format than what Sinek put forth, but certainly it's something that I adhere to, and I ask you to maybe consider doing the same. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Cheers.